Hello and welcome to Toolbox Talks. This is just a quick intro. I just wanted to say thank you for some iTunes reviews that we've received from Scott. Scott says, a great podcast by Matt, makes technical stuff easy to understand. Thank you very much, Scott. Much appreciated. And then a comment here from You Can Win, who says, it's time somebody did a relatable Aussie podcast. Good work, Matt. Looking forward to listening to the series. So I'm not sure which series you're referring to, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you've got any reviews, please go ahead to iTunes and post them there. Likewise, if you're an Android listener, you can head across to SoundCloud, where you can also leave a review. So thanks very much, folks, and stay tuned for this episode. Women play a massive part in the running of most small businesses, especially trade-based businesses. Not only do they help with the accounting side of things, invoicing, pretty much all of the business management aspects. They also are very active in things like marketing and actually building the business while, often their partners are out there doing the work. So with International Women's Day coming up on March 8, we thought who better to interview than a lady who's out there in the trenches getting her hands dirty. I approached Kiri Tringham from KT Business Solutions, and Kiri is playing a very active role in empowering women on how they can best support and how they can best run the back end of the businesses while their partners are out there actually doing the work. So this is a fantastic episode, and I'm very grateful to have Kiri come on the show. She's a very busy mother of two, and she took the time to come on the podcast. So thank you very much, Kiri, for your time. And listeners, I hope you enjoy this. Power to the women.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello and welcome back to Toolbox Talks. And today on the show, in the lead up to International Women's Day, I've asked Kiri Tringham to come on board the show. Kiri's based on the northern beaches of Sydney, and I actually found them through Facebook with an initiative they're running to help empower women in the business field. So Kiri, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
No, not a problem. As I mentioned, you popped up on my Facebook feed, and I thought it was very interesting what you guys are doing. And obviously with International Women's Week happening at the beginning of March, I thought what better person to have on the show to talk about, I suppose, your experience both from a personal level and a business level, and how you manage the balance between family and business.
Yeah, yep. It's a constant juggling act, really.
So, I know even trying to get this interview sorted, we had a few little hiccups there with your young fella. So I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much.
Oh, no worries. I appreciate you being flexible. It's kind of hard to commit to things sometimes when they get sick.
Yeah, that's why I do yoga.
Yeah, that's it.
So we might just jump right into this. I suppose I just want to start it with a bit about the family. I know we have a lot of female listeners out there. Actually, you know what? I just realised when I was creating this document that I think you're actually the first female that we've had on the show, which I'm very unhappy about. Yeah. So if there are any listeners out there that do work within the trades or have a good story, please head across to the siteshed.com and get in contact with us, because we'd love to tell your story, especially if you're a female tradie. Yeah, I think that's a pretty powerful story that we'd like to spread to the masses. So a bit of a segue there. But anyway, so tell me, Kiri, who's in your family?
So there's me, my husband, and we've got two kids. So my daughter's 2.5 and my little boy is 10 months old. Excellent.
And they are happy and healthy?
Yeah, pretty well. The little one's got a cold at the moment, which thankfully is the worst we have to deal with. But generally they're all happy and healthy.
So tell me, there must be a bit of a struggle there with that balancing act between having children and running a business. Mm-hmm. We're going to dive a little bit more into the business in a little bit, but tell me, how do you balance the kids and the business?
Oh, it's probably the $1 million question.
Every woman out there is going to be taking notes right now, so don't muck it up. No pressure. I
don't know if I have the answer, but I guess if I had to say in one word how I do it, it would be to prioritize. So I mean that in sort of every sense of the word. In a big, broad scale, I guess, first priority is the family. So when things come up and kids get sick, I just have to put them first. And just as much as it pains me to delay my work or put work on the back burner, family has to come first. Mm-hmm. On a smaller scale, I mean, if I've got an hour while the kids are asleep and I've got a filthy house and lots of laundry, but I also have emails that need replying to, then you know what? The housework's just going to have to wait. Yeah. So prioritizing is probably the key for me.
So is podcasting on your agenda
Oh, not right now.
I've just thrown your housework into a state of disarray. Your husband will be furious.
Oh, well, he can pick up the vacuum if you like.
Excellent. So tell me, what do you do when you're not working?
When I'm not working, I've got the kids at home with me 2 days a week, and I try really hard to spend that time just with them and trying not to get distracted by work. So we like to get out of the house because I work from home. So it's hard to be home and not be checking the email. Mm-hmm. So we like to go to the beach, anywhere outdoors. My little girl's happy. So yeah, beach, park, anything like that.
And tell me, what do you do when you're not working and you don't have the kids?
Oh, when does that happen? Every now and again we like to go out, I guess, and get someone to babysit. But yeah, probably just going out for dinner, really, anywhere I don't have to cook and we can enjoy a nice meal and a couple of drinks and try not to talk about work or the kids.
With a 10-month-old, I'm sure it's a novelty.
It is. Yeah, it doesn't happen often.
So what did you want to be when you were growing up?
I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't quite happen, although I'm doing
You're kind of segueing into that a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I'm doing a bit of sort of business coaching, so I guess it's teaching, but these people kind of want to actually learn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, that's the difference.
Which is nice.
Yeah, because they want to be.
That's it.
Okay. So, tell me a little bit about your business, KT Business Solutions.
Yeah, so this started off sort of really organically, I guess. I've always been in admin for a lot of different small businesses and also helped run my husband's business. So I've sort of done a lot of that. And when I had my son, I just didn't really want to go back to work for one person. I just couldn't really commit to certain hours. And I thought, well, why don't I try to do all these things I do normally for one business, do them for a whole load of different businesses? Mm-hmm. I just sort of put it out there into the world, and it's come back and everyone's really loving it. And I try to think of myself as a business consultant, not a coach. So I like to be a bit more hands-on. So I'll do consulting. I'll help people work out some processes to make their business run a bit more smoothly. I can do that as sort of just consulting, or I can train them in certain things, train them how to use certain programs that can help them do things a little bit quicker. And I also do assist, so I can take some of those things off their hands. If someone wants me to just do the bookwork for them, I can do that.
This is music to my ears, systems and processes. I didn't think we'd be diving into that in this podcast, but this is excellent news.
Yeah, well, I just sort of found that there's so many people out there, amazing, often tradies, to be honest, who are really good at their job, but maybe not so good at the business side of it. And they're struggling to they hit a level where they're probably making enough money, but they just can't really get any further without a little bit of help to streamline some things. So I want to help them, I guess, be as successful as they can be.
Excellent. You must have been listening to my podcast when you said that. That was basically repeating.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, that's good. So tell me, what was the pivotal moment in you entering into your business? Or was there a pivotal moment, or did you just sort of fall into it?
I guess having Benji, I just sort of thought, I don't want to go back and work for one person. I'm getting bored working in one office. So that's sort of where it started. And I guess as well, my husband, he's a fabulous builder and a fabulous carpenter and amazing at what he does, but he just does not have the business brain. And he was just getting really frustrated, I guess, seeing other people succeed and take off. And he's going, why isn't this happening for me? And I remember just thinking, well, I can tell you why. Yeah. If you want my help, we'll fix it. It's not because you're not good at what you do. It's because you're not running the back end of it properly. So it was just, I guess, seeing him get so frustrated and going, well, this isn't fair. Let me help you and help other people like you.
Geez, that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of our clients out there when they're confronted by their partners to tell them that they're not good at doing a certain area of their business.
Well, it's not meant as an insult. It's more meant as, you know what, you're amazing at what you do, but unfortunately in this world, that's not enough.
Yeah, well, I suppose.
You know, if you're running your own business, it's just not.
Yeah, and leadership's looking the truth head on, isn't it? And
that's right. And I mean, I think I always say your biggest strength is knowing your own weaknesses and accepting help there. So whether you're outsourcing that help or you're seeking training in that help, that's sort of the best thing you can do. If you assume that you know everything and you're the best at everything, there's only so far you can go.
Yeah. So what is your role in your own business?
Well, I'm everything in my own business. It's just me. So I guess getting new sales, getting new clients, and then also assisting them right from the start to the end, although there's not really been an end so far. We're all just sort of ongoing relationships with my clients, which is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you see any bottlenecks potentially popping up there, being that you're, obviously a busy mother with two, running a business where you're kind of the be all end all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's sort of, it can get tricky at times. I'm pretty organized as a person. I think I schedule every minute of my day, really. So, yeah, I guess I sort of have to try and schedule time in, even if it's late at night, so that I can continue to service the clients as well as I can.
Do you feel like at any point there may be certain areas you might be able to bring someone on either full-time or part-time to help you facilitate, delivering a better product?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to collaborate with a couple of people. If my business was making enough money or I had enough clients, I would definitely bring someone else on, particularly in some of the assisting stuff. If I could bring on someone to work as sort of a virtual assistant and hand over some of that stuff to them, that'd be ideal.
Yeah, because one of the things that we try very strongly to help our clients implement is systems and processes. And the reason we do that largely is because when it comes to the point that they may want to outsource those tasks, like everything's documented there and it's just a matter of getting somebody trained up on how to follow that process. So I imagine it would be relatively similar for you, if not exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I'll help them sort of see where they need to implement systems and processes and how to do that. And I'll help them implement it. If they can then get somebody else to follow those, then that's perfect. Job done. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So your hubby's a builder. What's your role in his business?
Well, when I met him, he was a sole trader builder, and that was all fairly straightforward. He was just sort of doing a lot of subby work, so I did all his bookkeeping. But last year, we started our own pre-hung door manufacturing company, which is fairly boring unless you're a builder. But I guess my role in that has been everything from the admin side. So starting up the company, I do all the sales, all the marketing, all the cold calling, all the accounts, everything.
Okay.
Yes.
That's taxing.
It is. So, that's pretty full on, but it's also worthwhile, so it's good.
So let's segue a little bit now into, obviously, if you're doing all this stuff within the business, there must be some programs and tools that you use to help automate and, I suppose, systemize various areas of your business. Are you guys using any accounting software? Yeah.
So I use Xero, which I love. That'd probably be my favorite, especially because James can just take a photo of a receipt and email it to me, and then he can do whatever he wants with it. And I don't end up with a garbage bag full of receipts from the bottom of his car at the end of the month. Yeah. So Xero is probably my favorite tool. Does
James do does he create purchase orders within Xero for when he's buying material and that kind of stuff as well? Or does he go that far into it?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. That's what I do.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. What about from a job management, project management point of view? Do you guys have any systems or tools that you've implemented on that front?
Look, at the moment, it's pretty basic. I just use a whiteboard at home and work it out that way. But obviously in the future, there's lots of fun things I can look into on that side of it.
Yeah. What about, say, day planners? Do you guys have like calendars that you operate on, or any cloud-based products that you use to systemize that side of the business?
Yeah, we do use just iCal, like the calendar in Apple, and I like that because it links to his phone and iPad, and I can put all sorts of things in there and tell him where he needs to be at certain times.
What about business documentation? Is it still very paper-based, or is it more of a cloud-based operation?
No, well, I guess all the documents, Xero holds a lot of stuff, and then other things are all done on the computer. So any contracts, everything's all on the computer. I don't use cloud-based stuff at the moment, apart from the calendar, and I guess Xero is sort of like that, but the rest of it's all just on the computer at the moment.
We'll have to have that conversation about Google Apps, I think, at another time, because the last thing you want is for your computer to go kaput and you lose everything. So
true. See here, we all have to learn from other people, and
so there's a lot of cool products out there that we've spoken about on the show previously, but really sort of they make that whole your individual device or your filing cabinet, all that kind of stuff. They pretty much make it obsolete. It gives you access to all of your documentation wherever you are, anywhere in the world, from any device that's connected to the internet. So there's some pretty powerful stuff out there.
Yeah, I'll have to learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if you could fix one thing in your business not right now, what would it be?
My website. I've probably done my number one rule and broken my number one rule, and tried to do it myself, and that's probably not working for anyone.
Jeez, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, fully. Didn't do that with James's business though. But yeah, probably my website.
Well, that's an interesting point, isn't it? So you didn't do it with James's business, but for some reason it happened with yours. Why was that?
Well, I think his business, we did everything properly. We got out a business loan. We made sure that we started everything up as we wanted to continue, sort of thing. So you work as though you are busy. Right from the start, which is what I think everyone should do. Unfortunately, the timing with my business, I started it up with 2 kids and obviously James's business already underway. And I just guess there wasn't really that, well, I guess the money or the energy. It was just sort of not a whim, it wasn't done on a whim, but it was definitely not planned out as well as James's. I don't know, probably the timing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Ooh, that's tough. Look, my mum's full of good advice. What does she normally say? Yeah, that's right. Just never stop learning, I think, is the best advice.
Be a sponge.
I've ever been given. Yeah, just never assume that you know everything. Just always be willing to learn, because everyone you meet knows at least one thing that you don't. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Good advice. Very good advice. I suppose that's pretty apparent too when you've got a 2-year-old.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, she teaches me more than you'd think, but they'd be able to. But yeah, I think it's just really important. I think a lot of people get quite dismissive and of other people, and they think that they know more, but I just never assume that. No matter who I meet, I know they can teach me something.
Yep. So what's the best thing you've ever done to attract or find new customers?
Networking.
Yeah, okay.
I find both in James's business and my own, the most business I get is through people I've met. Not through advertising. Word of mouth is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
Which is slow. It can be a really slow way to build up business. It's not going to happen overnight. But honestly, I think when you get a recommendation from someone, you take it a lot more seriously than, reading an ad in the newspaper. So yeah, I've just found networking, meeting people, chatting to people about what I do has been the best way, because often they know someone or they themselves could use your help. And I think that's definitely been the most successful.
Look, it's very apparent when especially with builders, like we notice it a lot of our clients there, they pretty much run entirely off word of mouth.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for them to, really keep on top of conversions if they've just got a few little elements tied into the back end. Like, when somebody does give them a referral or recommendation, just to make sure that when people get back to their website, they've got a nice professionally built website and people can find out information they're looking for, and everything sort of ties in nicely. But I think builders are very lucky in that sense. Like they do tend to run largely off word of mouth, and they don't really, most of our clients that are builders, they really don't need to invest in marketing, because they typically just run from one client to the next, referral, and it runs. It's seamlessly organic. It's quite amazing.
It's really good. And they work the same way with their suppliers, because obviously with James's business, we supply to builders. And I have so many people contacting me saying, oh, do you want to advertise in a magazine or on this and that? And I said, no, it's just not worth it, because the only people who come to us and use us is because their mate down the road used us the other day and love it.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
So with that in mind, do you have any strategies on how to obtain referrals, or any techniques that you guys typically use, both in your business and James's business?
Yeah, well, I guess with networking, the next best thing then, or part of that, is to follow up. I do also cold call for James's business, because it's a new concept, what we're selling. And so you've kind of got to get the word out there. But the most important part of that is the follow up. So you can call someone or chat to them or meet them somewhere. But if you don't get their contact details and then, follow up in a couple of weeks or add them to your newsletter list, they're just going to forget about you. So I think follow up is the main thing.
Yep, and there's probably a few things there that you're doing better than others anyway. Firstly, having a newsletter, so trying to keep in contact with people. You're a step ahead of most trade businesses out there.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important. Email marketing's great.
Yeah. So, apart from Xero, are there any other business tools or CRMs that you guys are using that you love?
Look, no, I've looked into some, and I think as we grow, we will definitely get into it. One thing that I use, because I do a lot of social media stuff, is Latergram. I don't know if you use that at all for your Instagram stuff. It's actually, not to be negative, it's not fabulous, but it is a handy tool for me with reminding me basically to post on Instagram, because you can sort of forget. So it's not fabulous. It needs a lot of work, but it's better than not having anything for Instagram. So that's probably another tool I use.
Yeah, nice. So how do you keep on top then of things like, if people do come to you with a proposal, or if you give them a quote, how do you keep on top of getting back in touch with them without using a CRM per se?
Oh, you're going to hate my answer. Well, I basically have a whiteboard in front of me here, and I've got a list of who I need to quote, who I need to follow up, what orders I need to make, and who I need to invoice.
You say I'd hate you, but you know what? I'm sitting here in my office and I'm looking at two whiteboards, and one of them is full of proposals that are out there.
Yep.
And I'm the cloud person, but I still find sometimes it does help to write things down. I just like having them in front of me sometimes, because then I know, like, I've got all these, all these cloud products, which are great, but then at the end of the day, because it's not directly in front of your face all the time, I tend to forget sometimes. So
well, that's right.
Even though I've got the CRMs, all the reminders set up and everything, and I do use them for the better part. However, I still like to turn around sometimes and see what I've actually got in the pipeline on the whiteboard. So
that's right. I mean, Xero does sort of keep all your quotes there and say which ones have been accepted and which ones are still just floating out in cyberspace that you need to follow up. So I can view it on that as well. But having it all on the whiteboard in front of me just is a bit more immediate, I guess.
Yeah. And so tell me, what's the best way to keep your customers happy?
I think just never committing to something that you can't actually deliver. I think especially with trades, it can happen, or people have sort of this vision of tradies saying, oh, yeah, I'll be there at 7 a.m. on Monday and just not showing up and things like that, which is just, I don't think it actually happens that much anymore. But I think we just always try to be really clear communication with our clients, and I never commit to something that I'm not sure that we can do. So keeping to deadlines, keeping clear communication so they always know what's going on, I think that's the best thing.
Yep, good answer. So look, I want to segue a little bit now into women in the workforce. And I know that, with your event that's coming up on the Northern Beaches, you're kind of putting a large emphasis there on empowering women. So if you don't mind, I'd just like to ask you a few questions that or in relation to maybe some of your experience or experiences with some of your colleagues that you may have encountered in the past. Are there many challenges out there that you would say women face in the workspace that men may not, especially from a trade point of view?
Yeah, definitely. Look, there's two different sort of sides to this. I guess, like, my mum is big corporate world, and she has always faced that glass ceiling sort of situation. I luckily haven't been in the corporate world, so I guess it's not quite the same thing. But I still, especially as a mum, it's nearly impossible to hold your career down once you've got kids as a mum, whereas it doesn't seem to change that much for men. I think that it's just...
Is that due to things like maternity leave and...
Yeah. Maternity leave is an interesting one. I've actually never had maternity leave in any of my roles. I haven't had paid maternity leave, so that's
Come on,
tricky.
James. What are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I know. So that's sort of a hard one. And then you end up sort of looking for work again in a new role when you are ready to go back to work. And then you sort of have to balance the kids and work. So, daycare costs so much. How much am I going to earn? Is it going to be worth going back? Whereas men, I guess, it is changing there. I do know some families where the woman's gone back to work full time and the man is staying home and looking after the kids. And I think that's awesome. But yeah, I think it's really hard to get flexible work conditions these days. I mean, with all your cloud technology, it should be possible for almost anyone to work from home. So it shouldn't be as hard as it is to get flexible working conditions to balance the kids and work. But
I guess that's true. But I mean, with a 10-month-old baby, I imagine, and a 2-year-old, it's a pretty much a full-time job, right?
Oh, yeah. And mine are in daycare 3 days a week and I still struggle.
Yeah.
But if I can do it from home, it means that I can just drop them to daycare, come home and do my work instead of dropping them to daycare, driving into the city or wherever. And if they're sick like this, I can still try to get stuff done from home while they're asleep. Rather than it just being like, oh, my kids are sick, right? Well, that's a week that I don't get paid for then.
Yeah. So do you think there's a bit of with that discussion, I could be opening Pandora's box here, but I'm curious to hear your opinion as somebody that works both in a small trade-based business and somebody who runs their own business. If, say, James, if you were full-time with your husband and then, you have to go on maternity leave, I imagine something like that would be quite crippling for a small business that's really depending on you.
Yeah, definitely. Both financially and just organisation-wise. I mean, I think that what happens a lot is that these women, they're on maternity leave, but really they're at home with a baby, and when the baby's napping, they're online fixing things up and emailing clients. I don't think you really stop.
Right.
When it's your own business or your partner's business. Because the only other option then is if you stop, someone else has to do it. And then are you paying them? Are you paying yourself and them for the one job. It is tricky. In a big corporation, maternity leave is, probably still tricky, but at least you've kind of got the funds. But in a small business, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah. And I suppose as well from the business point of view, it would be hard to, I don't know, I've never been in that situation, but I imagine there would be challenges there in, committing to employing somebody. Then when they fall pregnant and they need to go on maternity leave, like how do you manage that from a business point of view as well? You're effectively, you have to put somebody else on to do the work, right?
Yep. Look, absolutely. It's one of those things I just don't have the answer. I don't know what the right thing is to do. I don't know how to fix it. But it's definitely hard. I can see it from both points of view. And sort of on that note, people then also have that thought when a new mum or just a mum is applying for a job, they sort of think, oh, well, what if her kid's sick or, she's got to take off work. Is she going to be unreliable? And, in an ideal world, we wouldn't think like that. But from a business point of view, well, that's a valid question. Can she do this work from home on the days her kid is sick? Or, I don't know, how's that going to work out? I can see how it would be difficult from a business point of view as well. Yeah,
I would love to get some feedback from the listeners out there on this topic. Obviously, I imagine your network would have some really good feedback in regard to that, possibly more than mine. Yeah. So if there's anyone out there, please make some comments in the show notes or email in or whatever, because that'd be very interesting to hear your opinions on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you find as well that with women that are entering into trades, there'd be physical limitations?
I do. I really do wonder about that. Obviously, I'm not doing the physical side of the trade. I'm doing all the back end, so I don't know. But I have been in the factory and I have tried to do some things. And I think, how do these women do it? I don't know. Obviously, they're fitter and stronger than I am. That's who I want to hear on your next podcast. I want to hear a female tradie and I want to get an answer to that question, because power to them. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, women, wives and girlfriends are often thrown into the deep in the space of running their partners' businesses. I know I've got multiple friends that basically do it. They'd never really had any experience in running a business. They didn't really have an understanding of the trade itself. However, they've sort of been forced into this position, or volunteered, I guess. But, what's your experience with that? Do you find I suppose that's one of the reasons you're running your business, to sort of help women through those speed bumps. But is that a pretty common occurrence?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And look, it's one of those things that you sort of go, oh, we've just had a kid and, at least with this work, it can be flexible. I'm helping build our business. It's going to be great. And the husband thinks, fabulous. I don't have to pay someone else and you can just take care of it and it's going to be awesome. But you're not a bookkeeper, or maybe you are a bookkeeper, but you're not a marketing manager, or, you sort of, in a small business, you're everything. You are reception, you are the estimator on jobs, you are the accounts payable, the accounts receivable, you're everything. So I really don't think anyone has all of those areas sort of down pat. I think there's a lot expected of the partners when they take on that business, and maybe you put a lot of that pressure on yourself. Or I think the most important thing is to seek help and to learn, whether that's a short course, a TAFE course on small business, whether it's going to networking events and just getting snippets of people who are in similar situations.
Or listening to awesome podcasts.
Listening to amazing podcasts, all of these things. I think it's a really tricky situation to be in.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's helped a lot of my friends in the past is, because it's very overwhelming, especially when you're thrown right in the deep end and you're like, okay, you need to organize all the bookwork, you need to organize marketing, following up, proposals, quotes, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. It helps, I think, and this sort of ties back into our position on systems, creating standard operating procedures around these specific tasks that you need to complete. And then once you've sort of got a blueprint of how those tasks are meant to be carried out, you're then in a position where you can either manage your time effectively enough to get all that stuff done, or bring somebody on that can do it for you.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important thing. With quoting, for example, I know James at the door business, when we started it off, a quote request would come in and we'd just go, oh, okay, cool. And he'd do it. I'd go, yeah, you do the quoting. I've got a newborn. And, then later on, someone else would want a request for the same thing. And I'd say, well, how did you work that price out? And he'd go, I don't know. Yeah. I just did. It's like, no. Okay. We need to have systems in place. And now when quotes come in, I can do them. Yeah. He can do them. I could train you to do it in a day and we'd all come out with the same price and the same information. And yeah, definitely you need to put systems in place.
there would be a lot of builders out there that would be extremely interested to hear how you've done that, because I know, pretty much all of my clients, they are of that mentality. I have to be the one that's quoting. And I think to a degree they do, especially when you're talking, things like renovations and extensions, and you've got to take into consideration things like existing foundations, the structure, support, all that kind of stuff. It does take experience and knowledge to be in there doing it. However, I think there's probably a lot of ways that they could even collect that data and then offload the actual quoting process itself to somebody with the data that they've collated.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I think with building it is tricky. I mean, I'm lucky with James's business that it's doors, so they're all pretty standard. So I know, the jam price, the door price, the hardware price, and roughly the labor it would take for each thing. So I can work that out pretty quickly in just an Excel spreadsheet. But with the building, it is really tricky. But there are ways that you can get someone to do it, or at least half prepare it for you, and then you can sort of look over it and make a few changes. There's definitely ways you can do that.
Okay, cool. So tell me, what's the number one thing you guys do to differentiate yourself?
Oh, that's tricky. I guess, it depends on the business. With James's business, we don't have a whole lot of competitors because we've sort of brought in a new technology, I guess. But with
the door hanging business?
Yeah, with the doors. So with that, we differentiate ourselves by showing that we're architectural pre-hung doors, because currently the pre-hung doors you get are pretty cheap and nasty, and they're used in quick builds. They're not really used by high end. So that's our point of difference. I think it's important, no matter what business you're in, is you do find your point of difference, and you sort of pinpoint that and highlight it. With my business, I guess I'm trying to move away from the business coach sort of mentality, because I sort of think people think, oh, well, you just come in and you talk to me for an hour and then you go away, and what good was that? That's what I think when I think of business coaches sometimes. No offense to my business coach, I love him. But I'm more hands-on. So I will actually show you how to do these processes. I will physically help you write a business plan if you need to. That's my point of difference. It's a bit more practical, a bit more hands-on. Yeah. I
think that's pretty powerful. I've said this many times on this podcast. There's so many people out there that claim to be business coaches. You've just got to be so careful who you listen to. I've come across so many people that have failed in their business, and then instead of working harder at it, they think, I'll start up a consulting business and teach other people how to fail. So it's there's a lot of people out there, that will claim to be able to do things. We do a lot of coaching, I suppose, but off like maybe a consulting point of view, but we don't really go out there, claiming to be coaches per se. We just sort of know that we're good in the the digital space, and we can help people with various things. But yeah, it seems like it's a bit of a buzzword there, and I think people sometimes, they do fall into that trap, well, from my experience anyway.
Yeah, and they fork out all this money and they just sort of think, well, all I got was an hour of you motivating. Some of them are amazing motivators, and yes, they do keep you on track, but what are they actually doing? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's like a personal trainer, though. Sometimes it can be good, because I know with a personal trainer, they're making you do that work. And you could do all those exercises without them standing in front of you, but you probably wouldn't. Yeah. So I guess sometimes they do serve a purpose. But for me, yeah, it's definitely a bit more hands-on. It's like, okay, you need to do a business plan. Well, look, I've got templates for that. I'll help you out with that, rather than just saying you need to go do a business plan.
Yeah. So what's the number one piece of advice you'd give to a lady or a woman who's thinking of entering into her own business?
Do it. Definitely do it. Research it, though. Network, and learn from everyone. Just be open to learning. I think there's important things for anyone starting their own business, and I think a feasibility study and things like that are super important. A lot of people these days start a business on a whim, and they go, oh, I'm really good at whatever it is, I'm just going to start earning money from it. Oh, I think this product that I make is worth X amount. It's like, well, okay, maybe work out how much does it cost you to make that product and how much money you're going to make off it, and then work out, is that price going to sell? You need to think about it properly.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of, think about it properly, do it. Don't give up just because you don't think it's possible. Definitely do it, but have a plan. Yeah. And work it out. Don't do anything on a whim.
Okay, look, we're coming to a close here. I suppose I'd just like to quickly talk about the event you've got coming up. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, so we've got an event coming up. It's called Secret Women's Business. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's myself and 3 other ladies who are all from different industries, run their own their own businesses. And we all basically have seen a need for a bit of support for women behind the tradies specifically. All these things we've just spoken about. So people sort of maybe not knowing everything they need to know because no one knows everything. And also maybe feeling a little bit lonely in that role because you're often there just by yourself, like you said, thrown in the deep end. So we're doing this event. We're hoping to do it the first Thursday of every month at Mona Vale Hotel, 10 a.m. So it's just sort of come along, meet other women in the same situation, grab a coffee, and each month we're going to have a different guest speaker talking about something different. So whatever you guys, we're really open to what they want to learn about. So if they want to learn about cloud-based technology, we'll have a speaker on cloud-based technology. Yep. And then the rest of the morning will just be spent chatting amongst ourselves and getting to know each other. But yeah, each month will be a different sort of topic and a different expert coming in. And we're just really hoping to empower them and give these women the tools they need to feel confident in their role in running the business.
Excellent. So at the moment, that's pretty much exclusively on the northern beaches of Sydney. Is that right?
At the moment it is, but we will be looking at doing some more in different areas of Sydney.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Start small, then spread.
That's right.
Lovely. Okay, great. Well, what does the future hold for Kiri?
Well, hopefully more business with my sort of consulting stuff. I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying helping people to realize their dreams and sort of get their weekends back, I like to say, because if you're running your own business, don't often have a weekend. So I'm trying to get people who are running their own business to be doing it a little bit better. And hopefully I can get more and more clients doing that and make more and more people happy. Excellent.
And how can people reach out to you?
So I think my email is there. Email's always good. Facebook, I'm sort of always on there these days. So feel free to give me a shout out there or either
of those. So the email, just for the listeners, it'll be posted in the show notes along with the Facebook links. However, Kiri Tringham, KiriTringham @gmail.com.
That's the one.
And facebook.com/KT Administration Solutions. And then we'll post a link to the event page in there also.
Yes, come along. The more the merrier.
Lucky last question. Who would you like to see interviewed on this show next?
Definitely a female tradie who's in the front end of that, the tradie, not me in the back end. I want to hear tradie lady and I want to know how she does it.
Any names?
No, I don't know any. Isn't that terrible?
Okay. Thanks for lumping that one on me. I'll go find
it. Go forth. Find me some.
No worries. All right. Well, look, Kiri, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the show. I know you're a busy mum and I know you've got a sick little munchkin in bed at the moment. So hopefully he's all good. And
he'll be awake any second, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, thank you very much for your time. And I hope you listeners out there enjoyed it. As we mentioned, if there are any ladies out there that have any comments or, have any feedback on this episode, we'd love to hear from you. So please, you can contact us through, if you go to thesiteshed.com, you can contact us in many different ways. Failing that, if you want to leave some notes in the show, any comments in the show notes or iTunes, SoundCloud, etc., then we will be sure to get to you. So thank you again, Kiri, and best of luck with your event.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Not a problem, and we will be in touch again soon, I'm sure.
Great. Thank you.
So if you haven't already, head across to thesiteshed.com and register for our Toolbox Talks, where you'll be regularly sent great episodes just like this straight to your inbox, so you'll never miss one. If you want to join the community, you can head across to thesiteshed.com/members, where for a small monthly fee, you'll get access to regularly updated training material, as well as access to our forum, where you can mingle and collaborate with trade-based business owners just like you from all over the world. If you're enjoying this podcast, please head across to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. We greatly appreciate it, and it helps us spread the word and reach the masses. Likewise, if you know anyone that might benefit from the content we create, then please go ahead and share this with them.
You've been listening to Toolbox Talks by The Site Shed. For more great content just like this, head across to thesiteshed.com and join the amazing community of savvy trade-based business owners.